So it's 9 o'clock. We're going to start this meeting. Just going to remind you, this is being live streamed. And we are now, I got the thumbs up. We are live. So first off, call the meeting in order and we'll have a moment of reflection. Thank you. We don't have any additions or changes here to the agenda that I'm not aware of. Okay. I have a motion that the April 15th, 2021 agenda be approved. Moved by Councillor Kellum, second by Councillor Kazenberg. Pardon me? Disclosure. Yeah. Those in favor of that motion? She's carried. And I almost forgot disclosure of pecuniary interest. You can do it now, anytime through the meeting, if something happens to come up. So then we have consent agenda, and we have items 5.1 to 5.22 with the March 18th, 2021 council minutes. Anybody want to see anything pulled for discussion? Councillor Ehrlich.
5.22.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Councillor McDermott.
5.14.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, would you rather we move that down to council reports or other business, or would you rather deal with it now?
I'll just deal with it now.
Okay, we're going to deal with it now.
So yeah, I'm sure everybody had a quick look there at 5.22, the Ontario Bean Growers Association, a very, very well-run head of the bean growers. And they touched on some really good points there. In regards with manure and emissions and how that is a very good fertilizer, of course, for the beans. I would like this passed through Ontario just so people can look at this, know what the Ontario bean growers are about, and understand a little bit about manure. I still stay steadfast that this entire climate action plan is going to come to plague us, and I want this shared with all the municipalities in Ontario. Thank you.
Okay. We have a council who would like to see that forwarded on to other municipalities. Council's wishes on that. Do I have anybody that would not like to see that done, or does anybody want to see that done? Don't everybody speak at once. Councillor McKenzie.
I don't think it's really necessary. Each county is doing one, so they're going to get information eventually. I think the problem with the bean growers, it was brought forward was with the actual some of the questions in the survey. So I think if you were going to do anything, maybe a response back to the white bean growers or the bean growers of Ontario. And possibly when we get the new coordinator in place, maybe she could talk to them. But I don't see what we hope to achieve by sending that to every municipality across Ontario.
Okay, anybody else have? Councillor Kazenberg?
I'm going to echo what Councillor McKenzie has said. I think that if anything, sending this to other municipalities in Ontario will draw attention to our approach. And we've already had some heated and unfortunate discussion about our approach with regards to the climate action plan, which has already, in my opinion, drawn some embarrassment to us. So I'm not particularly in favor of airing this laundry far and wide. I think if there are specific concerns about the climate action plan, and in particular about the questionnaire, that those can be raised in appropriate fashion. And I think a response to the bean growers from Perth County may be appropriate, but remember that the climate change coordinator is acting in a concerted manner across all of the Perth County municipalities.
Other comments? So can I take it that you would rather see a response come back from the climate coordinator to the bean growers when that position is filled? I got a bunch of heads nodding up and down. Unless somebody wants to make a motion to forward it on, that's the route we're going. Okay, so we will have the climate coordinator reach out, or it could even be the subcommittee or whatever, depending on how long it takes to have that person in place. And they could reach back out to them and give them some information and answers. Does that work? I'm seeing a bunch of nods. Okay. 5.14 Kingsville resolution.
Yeah, they make some awful good points here. It's basically downloading federal problem onto the municipalities, and how we would ever be able to do this and regulate it. And I think I would be in favor of sending a letter of support to Kingsville and other municipalities that we don't necessarily think this is a wise course of action.
Okay, comments on that. Now they have forwarded in their original one to all the municipalities, so.
Oh, okay, nope, that's fine. Just to show our support for it.
So does anyone have any objection to responding to Kingsville showing Perth County's support for their resolution? And that would be only to Perth County at this point in time. Or we could add in MP Nader and MPP Pettipies.
Yep.
Is anyone against doing that? Not seeing any hands. So what we will do is we will respond to Kingsville with a copy to Mr. Pettipies and to Mr. Nader showing our support for that resolution. Okie dokie. So nothing else to discuss in there? And I have a motion that council receives the consent agenda items 5.1 to 5.22 and approves the March 18th, 2021 council minutes. Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, second by Councillor McDermott. Those in favor? It's carried. Good. Okay, we're moving on. Staff reports. And the first on the agenda is economic development and the PC Connect March update. So we just need to get Maggie, and I'm not sure if Justin's coming on. Oh, there's Maggie.
Morning.
Morning. Is Justin coming on, or is it just your, oh, there's Justin. So we got Justin now too. So Maggie, if you want to bring us or give us your report, that would be great.
Amazing. Thank you. So through the warden, I'd just like to provide a very brief summary of the PC Connect March update that is before you. So PC Connect does continue to operate responsibly throughout this provincial stay-at-home order in order to help our residents get to their essential needs. So these needs include employment, the grocery store, pharmacies, as well as medical and social service appointments. So all of our COVID-19 precautions continue to be enforced, which includes 50% reduced capacity, mandatory face coverings, hand sanitizer, passive screening, and increased sanitization practices. So in terms of PC Connect and its role in assisting residents get to vaccination appointments, we are continuing to work and consult with our stakeholders in order to determine the best solution. So prior to rolling out any service changes, we are looking for Huron Perth Public Health to provide more information regarding both their vaccine supply and future mass vaccination center locations. So pending further information, we are working behind the scenes with our service provider in order to develop new routes and schedule enhancements that will provide direct access to the Stratford Rotary Complex so that we are ready to implement these changes as efficiently as possible if required. So we had a great month in March in terms of ridership, with 158 riders on Route A and 23 on Route B, which is a 110% increase from February. So on average, the PC Connect ridership has increased by 57% each month since our launch date, which is certainly positive considering the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders, as well as the inability to actively market the service. So our 50% off fare promotion has come to an end, and our service is now being offered at full price, which is $6 for adults and $5 for seniors and students. We've recently rolled out an onboard survey, which will provide more insight into how our riders are currently using the service, which includes the purpose of their travel, whether they'll be making a round trip, as well as their overall perception of the service. So we're certainly looking forward to resuming our marketing efforts as soon as it's safe and responsible to do so. However, at this time, we are continuing to encourage essential travel only. So with that, my report is before you, and I'm happy to welcome any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thanks, Maggie. Questions for Maggie on this report? Councillor McKenzie.
It's a question that I'm probably afraid to ask, but with everything that's going on in the current situation, is there any, or have you heard any information with regards to whether the funding that we receive for that is going to be extended or not? Because the way it's going right now, we're probably going to run out of funding before we even get out of this.
So through the warden, we haven't received any extension to date. We are working with the MTO and the community grant team, as well as our SCT group, in order to advocate for that, to get an extension. However, at this time, we haven't heard. We have been notified that we will receive our full funding till March 2023, but unfortunately, we haven't heard any extensions beyond that.
Other questions? Councillor Hurley.
Yeah, I know it's definitely interesting times. People really don't know which way they're turning these days as things change. But I know we use the words essential within the transportation lately because we have to. But essentially, that's what the system was put in place, was for the needy and the less fortunate. Now, is that wording kind of even scaring people, from, I don't know, I get we want to say that. Maybe we could just say 50% reduced. And the essential travel, people question what's essential and what's not. And first thing you know, they could be going to get some essential items and they're saying, taking a pass. I don't know. I just hope that isn't hindering people from hopping on who really do need things. People are so sensitive these days, but I understand it's a tough one. But the wording just may deter people who do need things, I find, but maybe I'm wrong.
Any response to that, Maggie?
Sure, yeah. So through the warden, we have received communication from the MTO that they've asked us to use kind of that language and really promote that message. Certainly understand your concerns. So we are really putting an effort into to explain what those essential needs are, because you're absolutely right. A lot of our daily riders and our clientele are using it for essential needs. So just throwing out some examples, like I mentioned, the grocery store or the pharmacy, and using those as examples to our social media posts when we do release that essential travel only messaging. So definitely something that we will continue to focus on as we continue with our Transit Tuesday social media posts.
Okay, other questions, comments? Not seeing any. I'm just going to make a comment. So Megan and I had a discussion one day this week, maybe yesterday, I can't remember. So the funding we received originally is fully covered for the first term that we were allowed to operate this service within. There was an announcement from the federal government 2-3 weeks ago, and of course, no details have followed up on that, and that was 1.5 billion for rural transportation, and it was strictly rural transportation. So on my call last Friday morning, I had discussions with, Saturday morning with MPP Nader, and he's gonna look into that for us and get us the information and perhaps what details might come out. And he will forward it on to the county so that we actually know what's going on as part of that. Anyway, anything else? Not seeing any hands. I have a motion. Perth County receives the PC Connect March update report for information. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor McDermott. Those in favor? That's carried. Perfect. Now we will move on to, thanks Maggie, Justin. We will move on to the tree report from Marvin Smith. And
I'll do it.
Tyler's doing that.
So through the wording before council is the February 2021 Forestry Inspector's Report prepared by Marvin Smith, a forestry inspector. Conducted 7 inspections as a response to the notice of submission for notice of intent. If there's any questions, concerns, I'd be happy to take them at this time. One also additional information is that thanks to the help of Sarah Franklin and Sean McCoy, we do have a forestry page on our website. So there's some more information on there for the community.
Councillor Matt Duncan.
It's not actually related directly to this month's report, but I just wondered if Marvin could maybe put some information together for us all on the effects of our ash tree removals on some of the size of the woodlots in Perth County at this point. I've watched small woodlots completely disappear in the last little while because they were strictly ash trees, and now they are gone, and they will not be a woodlot anymore after this because they're going to be farmland. So I just wonder if we could maybe get a report on how our reducing the ash tree size bylaw has affected our amount of woodlot coverage in Perth County.
Tyler, sorry.
So through the wording, we will ask Marvin for some information on that. It was the intent to come forward with a report sometime in the summertime.
Is that okay, Councillor Duncan? I got a thumbs up on that one. Other questions or comments? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there, Councillor Duncan. I've seen a lot of diminished tree spots this year, and they were all ash trees. And I know we did reduce the size, but I try to save 3 ash trees around our buildings. And this spring, it's a little too early to tell, but I'm thinking they're not going to make it either now. So, it's 6 of one, it's half dozen of the other. Once they get into it, they're pretty well there. Anyway, I have a motion. Perth County receives the February 2021 Forestry Inspector's Report for information. Moved by Councillor Eit, second by Councillor Wilhelm. Those in favor? That is carried. Next, we will move on to Corey Bridges and the cannabis funding distribution. So as soon as we can get him on there, that would be great. And there's Corey.
Good morning, Council. The report in front of you is basically throughout 2019 and 2020, the locals and the county were receiving cannabis money related to legalization and implementation of that. With discussions with the local treasurers and the relations into policing costs related to legalization of cannabis, it is looked to that we would like to take our portion of the money, which was about $58,000 that we received from the province related to cannabis, and distribute that to the local municipalities and distribute it based on weighted assessment. The table is in the report, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Corey. Questions for Corey? Councillor Hurley, is that your hand up or are you just holding your forehead? Nope, hand's not up. Comments, questions? Not seeing any hands. I have a motion. Perth County Council receives the Perth County Cannabis Funding Distribution to Member Municipality Report for information, and Perth County Council approves the distribution of funds to the member municipalities for the purpose of offsetting policing costs. Moved by Councillor Duncan, seconded by Councillor Wilhelm. Those in favor? That's carried.
Jim, a
Okay,
question.
now we'll move on to,
Jim, did it have to be for policing costs?
well, you have to follow the guidelines in which they give you the money, so.
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
going
not
to try to.
exactly sure. I think it's mostly for policing costs. Correct me
I
if
would
I'm
like
wrong.
to, I would like to maybe had some leeway to put it into youth programs, maybe to get them headed off before, but that's fine.
Check with your CAO, Mr. Brick. He'll have a pretty good handle on how that's being spent. Or should, I would think. Okay, next we got Bill Wilson.
Corey wants to speak.
Oh, Corey, sorry.
To the warden, I think if you looked at the actual reports, I think originally I had policing costs and it talks about policing costs, but in the actual report, in my actual recommendation, I had in there offsetting cannabis related legalization costs, which could give some leeway to local municipalities on how to allocate that money.
We're good. Okay, we're gonna move on. Thanks, Corey. We're gonna move on to, I believe Bill Wilson's gonna do this, maybe John and Bill tag team, I'm not sure. And that's the tender results from the last RFP. Oh, we got John. Is Bill coming on or are you just doing it?
Good morning, Council. Thank you, Warden Aitchison. I think I'm going to handle it today here. This report is tender results for paving of Perth Line 33 and also capital road work for Perth South. We went out to tender for the hot mix paving and we received 6 submissions, and those have been tabled before you in the report. Low bid was Brantco Construction at just over $1.6 million. Council will note that they did approve a previous cold in place recycling tender with Lavis Contracting for Perth Line 33. And this is for the paving on top of the cold in place recycling. So if we look at the two two components together, the paving for the county, we're looking at just over $800,000. The recycling came in at $715,000. We do have some work that our internal forces will be doing on this project. We had budgeted 2.15 million and we expect to be well under budget on this project. Just to note, the Perth South has approved their portion of the work, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on this.
Thanks, John. Questions for John? Not seeing any yet here. Okay, I have a motion that Perth County receives the tender results 2021-031-06 road resurfacing report for information, and the Perth County Council award tender 2021-031-06 to Brantco Construction for the tender price of $1,645,571 excluding HST, and that council approved bylaw number 3818-2021, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into and execution of an agreement between the corporation of the County of Perth and Brantco Construction. Moved by Counselor Kassenberg, seconded by Counselor Kellum. Questions, one last crack. Not seeing any of those in favor? That's approved, thank you. We'll move on. Next, we have council reports. Does anyone have anything for council reports? Not seeing anything. Then we have a bylaw. And that is bylaw number 3818-2021 be ready first, second, and third time. And finally pass the 15th day of April 2021. And that bylaw is the tender results that we just approved. Just so you're aware of what that is. Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, second by Councillor McKenzie. Those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. We're going to move on again. Notice of motions. We did receive something in correspondence on a notice of motion. Daryl, did you want to bring forward your notice of motion?
No, good, thanks, sir. I'm sure you have all had a chance to have a boo at that. Many of you probably think it isn't our duty or our business and we're out of line to be speaking out on it. I feel the lesser
I
man.
got to stop you there. I can't let you speak to it. You can only do it as a notice of motion because that's what we found out specifically in our instructions last week.
So unless council waives the rules, it will come forward on the
So
6th.
here's how this is going to work. Unless council waives the rules, it will just become a notice of motion on our next agenda for May the 6th. The only way that you could deal with it is if council wanted to bypass that with a 2/3 vote to deal with it today. But according to our training we had there a week ago today, you're only supposed to do that in the case of emergencies. So unless somebody wants to recommend something, we will just put this forward to the May 6th agenda as a notice of motion.
Okay. Yeah.
Council good with that? I'm seeing a lot of heads go up and down, so that will become coming out on your agenda on May the 6th, right? Okay, very good. Other business. It seems like we're moving along quickly, but we're going to slow down here shortly once we get into closed session. Does anybody have any other business to bring up? Not seeing any hands go up. Perfect. Any announcements? Councillor Kellum.
Maggie, are you still on the line?
I'm not sure. I doubt it. She could be listening, but we can bring her back.
No worries. Just want to comment about, all the doom and gloom that's going out with us, and we're trying to deal with it. A positive thing with the county of Perth and more with the municipality of North Perth with her brother-in-law, Corey Connors. What a weekend. Amazing. I was glued to the TV for 10 hours Saturday and Sunday, and now he's making his way this week. But, just an incredible thing. And as Mayor Todd was interviewed this week, an amazing thing for North Perth. And that kid is the future. He is now ranked under 40 in the world, and I believe he'll be in the top 10 after this weekend. So just a positive comment from North Perth, and just so excited for him. Anyway, take care, everyone.
It actually is a great story for Perth County in general and specifically North Perth. I'm going to correct you in one little thing. You said that kid. I think we should probably refer to him as a young man. But you're right. He finished in the top 10 and 2 years in a row at the Masters, and that's pretty unprecedented for a newcomer.
I coached him for 5 years in hockey, and he could have gone either way, so I still call him a kid.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Any other announcements? I'm just going to mention something because we've got all the mayors on here. So in my call last Saturday morning with the province, there was a few things came up about COVID funding. And I did mention it briefly last night in our meeting. So one of the things that was discussed was we have COVID funding to cover off losses in different areas. So a lot of the restaurants got shut down before Easter Sunday. And they had a lot of food brought in to do their brunches, et cetera. And one of the discussions took place around the fact, would there be a chance that some of the COVID funding could be used to help offset their losses? So I'm just bringing that up as a kind of a announcement more than anything. You may see something coming back on that from the province, but I know Lissabon's got lots of restaurants. Mitchell, Shakespeare's got a couple. So, you know, there's restaurants out and about in the county. So Councillor Hurley.
No, that's why I brought up what I was hoping we would actually get support on an emergency situation with a 2/3 approval, because it is an emergency. It's insane. I have one of my constituents, yeah, like I'm telling you, like a 30-year restaurant, very popular, and they're down and out. And they haven't received their SEBA money. Oh, it's in review. It's in review. It's insane what's going on. And there's still no targeted approach to our vulnerable. We know who the vulnerable are. It's just crash and bang and smash everybody around and everybody walk around. So it is frustrating. And yeah, that would be interesting if that money could be targeted. For sure. Thank you.
Okay, other comments or questions? Not seeing any. Better double check again for hands. Nope. Okay. We are now going to move into closed session for 3 matters: a matter pertaining to negotiations, a matter pertaining to labor relations, and a second matter relating to labor relations. So I would need a motion to go in camera. Moved by Councillor McDermott, second by Councillor Wilhelm. Those in favor? That's carried. And we're gonna have to take just a brief break, about 5 minutes, because we're gonna have to go offline and we have to bring some people in here and online. So give us about 5 minutes and we'll be ready to go. We're good to go? Okay, so we're back. We're recording it. It's going to be added to the live stream after. So per our discussions in closed session, we need a motion to discuss, to move forward with the pre-tendering on an elevator for 1 Urine Street. Pre-qualification and tender for 1 Urine Street, which is the courthouse. Moved by Councillor Kellum, seconded by Councillor McDermott. Last chance for comments or questions on that. All in favor? Carried. So that's dealt with. So I think that looks after all the. Yeah, we have to do a confirmatory bylaw, but that looks after all the issues with the campus. Okay. So now we have a confirmatory bylaw. 3819-2021 to ratify all the things we've dealt with here today. And do I have a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Duncan, Councillor Wilhelm seconds. Those in favor? That's carried. And the next thing on the agenda would be a motion to adjourn at 11:22. Councillor McDermott, Councillor McKenzie. Those in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much.